Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap! Season 5 is coming April 4th. I saw the trailers for it and I am excited! There has to be something I can do to celebrate this. You know, Season 4. Let's talk about Season 4. Season 4 was such a great season. In fact, my favorite season of the show so far. And since I have really high hopes for Season 5, I might as well praise this season for the next upcoming one. Season 4 deserves all the praise that it got. Now, I made a list. It was a tough pick, but I picked the lucky 10 best episodes of Season 4 and ranked them up, and I am happy with the list I made. So, if you love the season as much as I do, then, oh Celestia, I am gonna regret saying this. Then, prepare to feel the power of rainbows. This is the lucky 10 My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episodes of Season 4. Let's get started, shall we? Lucky number 10! Episode 7, Bats. This episode was kinda simple, but a really great one for the most part. The apples in the apple farm are being eaten by vampire fruit bats, causing the apples to dry up and not being any good. So if Applejack afraid of them eating her huge apple for a contest, she wanted Fluttershy to use a sting on the bats, so they can stop eating her apples. However, Fluttershy finds it wrong and gets out her side on why it is, but finally gets talked into doing it. I like this episode a lot, mainly because I think it has the most morals in out of the entire season. For one, I like how it shows there are two sides of a situation, the positive side of it and a negative side of it. But even so, both sides have a negative and positive to their side, so they are kind of in a stalemate. I know that sounds confusing, but that's how I see this episode. Since Applejack wanted to get rid of them because they will eat her apples, however, Fluttershy mentions on how they can actually help her orchard and how the bats are just important as them. But they are both right and have good points. Not one of them is more right and not one of them is more wrong. Another reason why this episode was so great is that it had a very unpredictable twist with really great foreshadowing. Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Flutterbat, one of the season's biggest and memorable idols. I really like this version of Fluttershy. It tries to be so scary that it's kinda cute, honestly, and really fun to look at, and the spawn of fan art it's gotten. Speaking of which, has anyone noticed the different versions of Fluttershy this season? There's Flutterbat, of course, then there's Flutterguy, which is still Fluttershy but with a deeper voice.
Oh, Rarity, we can't disappoint that sweet little filly.
And who can ever forget...
Well, you're just a great big meanie!
There! I said it! What makes you think you're so special? Like the rules of common courtesy don't apply to you? Why don't you pick on someone in your own size?
Getting back on topic, after they turn Fluttershy back to normal, we have a good moral on not letting someone talk you into something you don't think it's right. This episode was kind of average and simple, but it was a lot of fun being that way. Also about Flutterbats, as I said, I honestly find it more cute than scary. But get prepared for something actually kinda scary. Lucky number 9! Episode 23, Inspiration Manifestation. Now this episode was just as fun as it is well done. After Rarity's puppet feeder got criticized, she had a breakdown. So Spike decides to go find anything in the castles of the Two Sisters library to help her when he comes across a mysterious magic book with the spell Inspiration Manifestation and gave it to Rarity to use the spell. When she did, her eyes glow green and decides to design the town her way. It's sparkly, glittering hell comes amongst Ponyville! It was really funny seeing Rarity design the town with that spell, and seeing her go insane. And yet, quite scary at the same time. But what I really love about this episode is how Spike has to say what I believe all of us are afraid to say to a great friend. Especially if that friend is someone you really like. We all have to say no to a friend and say the truth, even if the truth can be quite hurtful to them and hard to say. Basically, sometimes we have to say that hurtful but truthful fact. That is what Spike had to do, and he did it, which caused Rarity to finally break free from the spell. And even though Spike told her the truth, that's why they are still friends. For the record, I do not support them as a shipping, but this is an adorable moment. The only bad thing I could say about this episode is how they made fun of their moral. You should never make fun of your morals, unless your show is a satirization show. Heck, even if it is a satirization show, it could still cut the quality of your show. Overall, it is a really great Rarity and Spike episode, with hilarious morals, a good heartwarming moment, and Rarity with green eyes is still really scaring me.
Yes, yes! I can feel its magic flowing within me now! I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
Yeah, I like to leave right now. Next spot, please! Lucky number 8. Episode 15. Twilight Time. In this episode, it shows that the Cutie Mark Crusaders are learning skills for Twilight called the Twilight Time. This catches the attention of Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon, who wanted to join them, just to see the princess. I heard of dumber and crazier ways to meet famous people. The Crusaders then take this into advantage to be more popular with the other school ponies. I heard of crazy and dumber ways to get popular. Okay, what I really like about this episode is that it shows how bad it is getting popular this way. Getting popularity off of a popular friend purposely is one of the worst ways to get popular, since you are pretty much using them. Eventually, more kids wanted to be with the Crusaders just to meet Twilight. It made the Crusaders more popular, but makes it worse for them, especially when they had to show that they were studying their talents right at the spot, because this episode's dummy pretty much said that the Crusaders are using Twilight right in front of her. When all three messed up, Twilight wanted to talk to the three of them alone, where the Crusaders were sorry to Twilight and showed that they can use the skills they learned from her, despite them just messing up just a few seconds ago. Yes, hello there, plot hole. I guess doing them right on the spot made them nervous, I guess? Then they learned a great moral that they should know what made Twilight special to them, and how they should spend their time with her because of that. 'Cause she is their friend. Aww, corny, but cute. Now that is the best way to solve this type of problem. If a character is using another character who is their friend, make them realize what made them their friend at the first place and why it was wrong that they used them. Honestly, it is kind of hard to explain why I like this episode a lot, since I mainly just talked about what happened in it. So, to give out my best reasons right now, is that it shows why you shouldn't use a good friend, and remember what made them your friend, and spend your time with them as much as you can, and don't focus the time on to get popularity off of your friend. Sure, you can make more friends off of your friend, but there's a small difference between having friends and being popular. That is a very sweet moral, and it can be really helpful. So, Twilight, do you think it's time I go to the next spot? Huh? Get it? Do you think that just go to the next one? Lucky number 7. Episode 18, Mod Pie. Let me just go ahead and say, while I do really like the other 3 episodes, these next 7 spots is what I would say is some of the show's best episodes, period. Yes, 7 episodes of this season is some of the show's truly best. This is another reason why this is my favorite season. This season has the most best episodes of the show than any other season, and why I cannot get enough of this season. So, just keep in mind that I really love these next 7 episodes. So, Mod Pie. In this episode, Pinkie Pie's sister, Maud, is coming to visit her to trade rock candy necklaces. So Pinkie Pie wants her friends to meet her so they can all be friends and make rock candy necklaces together. However, Maud isn't what Pinkie's friends expect her to be. She is Pinkie Pie's older sister and complete opposite. Yes, even more than cranky. She is bland, emotionless, and really only into rocks.
Sedimentary.
Huh?
This is a sedimentary rock.
Dangerous insects away.
I was looking at the rock.
Oh.
I think this one is done. I prefer to read my own poetry.
Oh, I'd love to hear some of it.
Rock. You are a rock. Gray. You are gray. Like a rock. Which you are, Rock. I've written thousands.
She's so prolific!
This next one is about rocks. They're all about rocks. Rocks, these are my rocks. Sediments make me sedimental. Smooth and round, asleep in the ground. Shades of brown and gray.
But even though she is bland and boring, she is hilarious. This episode had perfect timing with the jokes. I cannot believe I was laughing from a character who is so purposely bland. Her bland, expressionless face, how she is so obsessed with rocks, and of course, the timing as I said, she is just as funny as her sister. But even so, as bland as she is, Maud has a big heart, especially for her sister. I mean, she would even smash a rock to save her sister, which reminds me, this episode has so much emotion in it. Ironically. But it is mostly from Pinkie Pie being sad that her friends cannot get along with Maud. It turns out, they really do have something with Maud, and they do become friends with her, and it's just this one thing they do have in common.
The thing that makes us click and creates a special bond between us is how much we all love Pinkie Pie.
Aw, shucks.
So, Maud Pie, you can say that this episode and her... Okay. I promise I won't use another overused joke. Maybe. Lucky number 6. Episode 19. For Whom the Sweetie Belle Toils. This episode came out right after Maud Pie, and after that, I thought they couldn't have a better plot than for two sisters' relationship to be any more sweeter or cuter. And then this episode came out, and it is the best out of the 3 sister-related episodes that strangely premiered back to back to back. Coincidence? Or on purpose? You decide that. Anyways, in this episode, Sweetie Belle asks if Verity can redesign the costumes for her play, which resulted in the audience liking the dresses more than the actual play itself. So Sweetie Belle got pissed and started blaming Verity for outshining her for making the dresses too perfect. Now, this is something I had to say about people saying Sweetie Belle being too mean-spirited in this scene, which I can agree. There is no reason at all for Sweetie Belle to blame and get pissed at Verity. However, I am actually not bothered with this, because this is a very realistic childhood mood to be mad or upset when the younger sibling feels outshined by the older sibling, and even vice versa. So I give this a pass because what Sweetie Belle is doing here is just a very realistic childhood mood. Mean-spirited, but realistic. There is a difference between just being mean-spirited and being mean-spirited in a realistic way for the point of a story. And hell, that can even work in comedy while done correctly. If this was one of the adult ponies doing this, let's say one of the main 6, then I can definitely conduct some points off of this episode. But since this is a child performing this action, even though, as I said, there's no excuse for Sweetie Belle to do this, again, she is just a child. But since this is a child doing it, even though it's still no excuse for Sweetie Belle to do this, again, she is just a child. So her having this attitude is realistic. So it is okay for me, for the story that is. Now that I got that off my chest, in the middle of the night, Sweetie Belle removed the important stitching from the headpiece of the costume Rarity is going to give to Sapphire Shores in the morning, which holds the entire headpiece together. Then Luna visits Sweetie Belle in her dream because...
I too have a sister who often shines more brightly than me.
Really? Really? Your sister is the one that outshines you. Your sister, Princess Celestia, is the one that outshines you. Sure, let's go with that lie. Everything else from this point on has been pretty much a Christmas Carol story that came out near the end of March. The visuals in this dream pretty much were very eye-appealing and animated very well. They keep on changing the settings in this dream, and I gotta say, the transitions for the visuals that change from setting to setting are rather impressive. I got to say, this is my favorite part of the entire show. Animation-wise, that is. Luna showed her the truth about her sad past, her present, and the terrible future that is coming. Now here's what really made the episode great for me. The kid character who causes the situation fixes it herself. With some help of course, but of course she is the one that mainly fixes the problem she caused. That is what you should do when a character makes a situation worse for themselves. Even if they aren't the one that mainly caused the problem, if they made it worse on themselves, they have to fix it themselves as well. Later, Sweetie fixed the headpiece and even improved it. Then we had a sweet and adorable sister moment. Overall, this was a sweet and adorable episode with really nice visuals and knows how to use the mean-spiritedness right for a plot. So, yeah. I have no idea on how I'm going to transition out of this spot, so, Oh look! Lucky number 5! Episodes 1 and 2, Princess Twilight Sparkle, Parts 1 and 2. I've made a really crappy review on this episode earlier last year, I believe, so I had to make sure not to repeat myself so much. Also, with this being a two-parter, there is limits to what I can talk about without this taking too much time. So, I will be skipping some big details, but I would still talk about the other big ones. That are very important. Anyways, the season premieres were always the most mixed with the fans. Friendship is Magic, while it was good for a premiere episode for the show, it wasn't that good and had some flaws in the second part. Return of Harmony is actually my favorite season premiere. I especially like the darkness and cruelness of Discord while keeping him a fun villain. The Crystal Empire was... had an interesting idea and a totally badass looking villain, but the execution was very weak and didn't seem to take much advantages. Honestly, the second part to me felt more like it was just stalling its time to where Samba gets defeated than having an actual plot. So, yeah, definitely the worst out of the season premieres to me. Princess Twilight Sparkle, on the other hand, was really amazing and my second favorite season premiere of the show. It was the first episode, and I really mean the first episode, not counting Equestria Girls as one, after Twilight became an alicorn, and it shows the fans that Twilight is still the same Twilight that we know, just with wings, making their pointless complaining even more pointless. Thank you, Hasbro. I gotta say, the animation in this two-parter has the best animation of the show. I mean, yeah, the transitions that change from scene to scene in Sweetie Belle's Dream is my favorite part of the show, animation-wise. But without doubt, this is the best animation the show has ever had. I mean, those glows when they are at the castle, and of course the animation on the crocodile, and the elements of Harmony Rising. But what also really impressed me about this episode is that there wasn't really a villain in this two-parter, and it still ended up being really good. Unless you count Discord as the villain, since he was the one who planted the seeds of the roots that were attacking Equestria. The roots were pretty much the antagonists of this two-part premiere. They were spawning out of control and taking over Equestria, while taking Princess Celestia and Luna with them, pretty much leaving Twilight for her first really big important princess duties without them, which is looking for them and of course stopping the roots, which also puts more pressure on her, and I mean a lot of pressure, and we all know what Twilight is like under pressure, but even under the pressure, she still stayed calm and collective. But my favorite part of this two-parter is the ending. Having to see the elements of Harmony go was very sad, since they were the elements that brought them together, but sometimes sacrifices have to be made to save someone or something. Or in this case, Equestria. That is what I love about this ending. It shows sacrifice as something valuable, to save someone or something that is more valuable at heart. After they sacrificed the elements and Luna and Celestia were set free, the tree revealed a diamond chest with 6 locks, one for each of the main 6, showing the tiny subplot that spreads around the season. That's what kind of makes this the best season. It actually had a tiny subplot that went throughout the season. Might have barely been used, but still, this is a tiny subplot that went throughout the season that made it interesting on what the heck is in that chest. So, Princess Twilight Sparkle. It was great, showed some great morals, wonderful animation, every character was strong, and of course, the start of a subplot. Yeah, it was also kind of hard talking about this episode since I already made a review on it, but I think I talked about it better in this video than I did in the review. I would say right now that the next episode on the list, although I really love it, I respect it more than I actually liked it. Let's get to it, because I really want to talk about this next episode really bad. Lucky number 4. Episode 5. Flight to the Finish. As I said, I respect this episode more than I love it, but since this episode's on the number 4 spot, you can tell how much I love it and how much I respect it even more. Also shows that even though this is only the second episode that focuses more on Scootaloo than any other character, this makes me want them to make more. A lot more. In this episode, the entire elementary school in Ponyville is competing to hold and represent the town's flag in the equestrian games. They had to put on a performance about what makes the town special and what it means to them. The CMC do one where it is a town where the 3 different kinds of ponies come together to be friends. That is actually really good and represents great equality. I just hope they do not go overboard in Season 5 though. Oh well. When the CMC put on their performance, Diamond TR and Silver Spoon actually think they have a good chance to win, so they decided to bring Scootaloo down in, honestly, in a very cruel way, even for a kid's show. Scootaloo getting called a blank flank is one thing, but they actually made fun of her for her wings and how she's a Pegasus that can't fly. Yeah, Scootaloo is a Pegasus pony who can't fly, or at least will take a much longer time to fly, since her wings are smaller than the average wings for a Pegasus filly. Basically, it's kind of a disability, and Diamond TR and Silver Spoon directly insulted her for that. That is actually really, really cruel. And it puts Scootaloo in, honestly, a very sad and depressing way, seeing her trying to fly, but failing. I might be overthinking this, but from what I see in it, is what really makes me respect this episode a lot. Talking about something very controversial can be very risky, and a lot of episodes on TV shows fail to talk about controversial topics. So when an episode of a TV show or movie does one right, in fact, in this case, does it amazingly well, it gets a lot of respect from me. Also, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed if I do not talk about Season 4's first song, which is in this episode, Hearts as Strong as Horses. I like the song. It's cute, has some gats that made me chuckle, and the reprise after Scootaloo gets her spirits back really fits that moment. While Scootaloo might still be my least favorite out of the Crusaders, her 2 episodes made me just love her as much as Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom. Speaking of characters I love, the next following episode really shows on how much I grew to love the character it is about when the show progresses. Lucky number 3. Episode 8. Rarity takes Manhattan. If I ever been asked on who is the most improved character of the show, the answer would definitely be Rarity. She started out as my least favorite of the main 6 when the show started out, to now my 3rd favorite character of the entire show. There isn't one episode I disliked where it is centered around her. Also, without doubt, this is my favorite Rarity episode. In this episode, Rarity and the rest of the main 6 go to Manhattan for Rarity to compete in Fashion Week, and Rarity brings her friends to have a good time in the town. During the contest, we meet our antagonist for the episode, Siri Polymer, and since Rarity was so generous enough to get Siri the same color swatch she used to make her dresses, Siri copycat her and claimed the design as originally hers by making overrated pony of the season make her dresses for her. Yeah, I said Coco is overrated. What are you gonna do about it? I am actually scared now on what you will do, so I am just gonna be over here now. But I'm still gonna talk about the episode and all, but I'm gonna be over here. So because Siri stole her designs, her friends agreed to help her to make a whole new fashion line, which caused Rarity to lose her generosity and overwork them. Alright, this is one huge reason why I love this episode. It's just one of the biggest things about life I really agree on. And that is, just because someone took advantage of something special about you, doesn't mean you should get rid or lose that something special about you towards others. And in Rarity's case, just because someone took advantage of her generosity, doesn't mean she should get rid or lose that generosity towards others, especially to her friends. Same thing goes if that something special about you is kindness, honesty, sharing, just about anything special about you. Don't let anyone take advantage of it, but just because someone did, doesn't mean you should stop doing that special thing. Through some tough life experience of my own, that is one of the most special morals to me from the show, and one I highly support, and why I love this episode to pieces. And this moral, being presented through the most improved character of the show, just makes it even better to me. After Rarity makes up with her friends, and learns she actually won Fashion Week, Rarity offers a job to make designs for a play to Coco, and her generosity stays with her. I know I'm going way deeper into this like the last one, but I just can't help but adore this episode for the moral it tried and succeeded to show. So, Rarity Takes Manhattan, a wonderful episode showing a great moral, showing more of Equestria, with an amazing big city design on Manhattan, and shows why Rarity improved a hell of a lot better since Season 1. Speaking of character improvements, when it comes to this season, when we talk about one character that downgraded this season, I think we all have the same character in our minds right now. But even when that character downgraded, she definitely had some spotlight moments this season, and this is the biggest one of them all for her. Lucky number 2. Episode 12, Pinkie Pride. This is pretty much Pinkie Pie's recovery episode because, well, let's face it, Pinkie Pie has been really off this season. In fact, she was my least favorite out of the main 6 this season. She's still my second favorite character as a whole, but for this season particularly, yeah, she was pretty much the worst out of the main characters. I know she's supposed to be really random, and that's what makes her hilarious, but her randomness in this season felt forced. Really forced, especially on what happened 2 episodes after this one. But when it came to this episode, it almost made me want to forget every forced random moment she had in this season. Almost. I love this episode so much that even hearing the premise of it gets me to love it already. Just imagine an episode that pretty much combines Weird Al's personality through a pony version of himself, aka Cheese Sandwich, with Pinkie Pie's personality. This can only equal up to one crazy and fun episode. And so it did successfully that. Majorly well. Especially at the goof-off. I love on how hyper and sped up the gags are in this episode, while still having those sweet emotional moments and the sad ones as well. I also love the songs on in this episode, with Cheese Sandwich being voiced by Weird Al and is pretty much the pony version of himself, and also with Pinkie Pie, the one who is mostly known for singing on the show. It's like the songs in Magical Mystery Cure if they have a better reason to be in this episode. Honestly, it would be kind of disappointing if this episode didn't have nearly as much songs as it did. I have to say, this part is my favorite part of the entire episode, besides the goof-off. Cheese admitted that if it wasn't for Pinkie Pie, he wouldn't be the party pony that he claims to be, and would probably still be as shy as he was if he didn't accidentally bump into one of Pinkie Pie's parties. Sometimes, we own it up to someone for the work we do today. Everyone has an inspiration, and we will inspire other people. That is exactly why I love this moment. As a whole, I just downright adore every second of this episode. It was crazy, it was fun, the animation was amazing, and combined 2 crazy and random personalities perfect to a T. But when I thought this season couldn't be any better than this episode, something came along and beat it. It was very hard for me to believe, but something really did beat this episode to the golden lucky #1 spot. Golden Lucky #1. Golden Lucky #1 is the season finale, Twilight's Kingdom, Parts 1 and 2. Knowing how popular this 2-parter is, in fact, it being my transition scene for this countdown alone, makes this pretty predictable that it would be Golden Lucky #1. But, can you blame me? This 2-parter is not only my favorite season 4 episode, but my favorite episode of the entire series. It took everything that made the show amazing and multiplies it by infinity. In this episode, Twilight's depressed that she hasn't really been fitting her role as a princess, pretty much the criticism people have been giving to her throughout the season. Even I find it weird. I like how eloquent Twilight is still the exact same Twilight that we know, just with wings, but it's weird on how nothing really happened to her about being one. Sure, there's Twilight Time and a little bit of both Princess Twilight Sparkle and Treasure, where her being a princess made some effect or even mentioned she is one, but for the most part, nothing really changed about her being a princess. I don't expect Twilight to play a huge role as a princess just yet, just something though. You know, a little bit more than just what I just mentioned. Then this 2-parter came and gave Twilight the point of being a princess she wanted. Yes, she wanted. This is a reason why I respect Twilight a lot as a character. She is some pony with a huge title, in this case a princess, and actually wants to have a point to having it, and not just have the title. I can really respect anyone that is like that. May I mention that this episode has my new favorite villain of the entire show, Lord T-Rex. Lord T-Rex absorbs the power of every unicorn, Pegasi, and Earth Pony, and the more power he absorbs, the bigger and stronger he gets, with the help of Discord, who portrayed the main 6 for ruling Equestria with Lord T-Rex.
Surely you saw this coming?
I did it. I really did it.
And for the ones that hated Discord being a good guy, well, you got your wish. He is evil again for this 2-parter, until he wasn't useful to T-Rex anymore and he absorbs his power as well.
Surely you saw this coming.
I didn't. I truly didn't.
Yeah, that was my reaction to this episode. Almost every moment in this 2-parter was a moment I didn't expect, when it seemed like T-Rex had all the power in Equestria and no one has the power to stop him. There's still one pony left, who has the only remaining power. Not only just the remaining power, but the power of 4 powerful eloquence combined. Lord T-Rex, who has the rest of the power, wants it to be unstoppable. All of this ended up in an epic and very visualizing magic battle between Twilight and T-Rex. It was a fierce battle between them. Even though T-Rex absorbed the rest of the power of Equestria, Twilight's total combined alicorn magic makes her just as strong. Magic against magic. Attacks into the mountains, attacks from the air, attacks from underneath the ground, attacks from everywhere. A tree library was destroyed, and it was mass chaos! No one can tell how many lives might have been lost, or could have been lost. More destruction than any evil war can cause. A battle no pony will ever forget. The battle between these two causing all this destructive chaos can make any evil dictator cry. The battle between life and death as we know it! I really overdid that, haven't I? Wait, don't go. I promise it won't be crazy anymore. Let me just finish this list. So they reached an impasse. So T-Rex offered a trade. Her friends get to be set free for all of the alicorn magic in Equestria. Although a tough choice, Twilight accepted the trade, got all of her friends back, but all of her power is absorbed. Then Discord gave some words of wisdom that, honestly, almost made me cry every time I hear it, knowing this is coming out of a former villain.
T-Rex tricked me into believing that he could offer me something more valuable than friendship. But there is nothing worth more. I see that now. He lied when he said that this medallion was given as a sign of gratitude and loyalty. But when I say that it is a sign of our true friendship, I am telling the truth.
With Discord giving Twilight the medallion, it was the last key that they needed to open up that chest. And what was inside that chest is toy marketing, also known as Rainbow Power, that gave the main six more than enough power to defeat T-Rex and put him back in its cage. Sucks for him. Came so close and yet so far, and everyone in Equestria got their power back. The chest also came with a castle for Twilight to replace her library treehouse. And finally, after a great song showing some of the characters from the key episodes that gave the main six their keys, we end up with a group photo showing the end of a wonderful episode of a wonderful season. And that is the Lucky 10 episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 4. Season 5 is coming. Hold your plushie doll of your favorite pony, enjoy a good monster drink, sit back on your couch, and enjoy what I believe will be another great season of the show. I have really high hopes. Brony459 signing out. Can't wait for the next season to start.